In truth, we can only trust the changeless self. We can only trust the impersonal self. We can only trust that true essence nature of being that we are. In our human capacity, we want to put our trust in things, and then we are constantly disappointed when things move and change. But part of this opening to true nature and coming to recognize what is the true nature, it's not someone's true nature, it is the true nature of everything, right? It's not someone that has a true nature, it is the true nature of all. And the true nature of all is revealing the true nature of life, and that life is constant change. Life is a dance. Life is alive. And to come to recognize the true nature, the true essence nature, is recognizing the essence nature of life is its aliveness. Our true nature is the aliveness. So, when life changes, only when we do not understand the essence nature of all are we disappointed that life changes and life doesn't go the way that we want it to go. When we are resistant to change, then frustration and pain and suffering comes. And that is the human condition. The human condition. Because the human that is in conditioning, that is conditioned, is moving from desire, is moving from wanting, and is not seeing clearly, which gets called ignorance, is ignorant to the true nature of what this is really all about. And of course, the tricky part comes is that we cannot see what this is all about until there is clear seeing and knowing of true nature. We cannot know with the mind the true nature. As much as we can strive and try and want that, we cannot know with the mind the true nature of what all of this is and how it works. With the mind, we are conditioned, we are in limitation. And when we are in limitation, we are in this play of desire, of wanting. And there's an innocence to all of it. But it is just to recognize that when pain and suffering and frustration come, it is a sign that we are in separation. It's just a sign that says what is happening here is happening within a limited context. Can we come to the recognition that when we are aware of being in a limited context, because there is resistance, suffering, pain, upset, that is the clue, that is the shining light. Even if it feels to the mind to be a challenging moment, it is the shining light that says in this moment, there's a broader perspective. In this moment that feels like challenge, feels like suffering, feels limited or resistant in some way, this is the indication that there's a bigger perspective just waiting in this moment to open up. There is grace to our suffering. It is by virtue of the suffering that happens in the human condition that we open to our true nature. So we do not want the suffering to not be here, because it is grace. It is part of the grace. One, when we are constantly suffering and struggling, we start to ask the deeper questions. And when we ask the deeper questions, we get the deeper answers, right? When we're asking the deeper questions and we are sinking into the heart, and there is a surrender that starts to happen. Surrender is what carries us into grace. As we surrender into not knowing, as we surrender into hopelessness, as we surrender into disappointment, as we surrender even into despair, we are offering up our need to know, and we are offering up the personal will that wants it to be a certain way. We are offering it to what? Right? We're not offering it to someone. We're not offering it to something. We're offering it to that all-knowing being, which is our very own being, and all that can be trusted. How curious to the mind that all that can be trusted is the unknown. All that can be trusted is the unfathomable. All that can be trusted is the grace of utter surrender. Of course, the mind cannot fathom this, cannot understand this, and is not going to trust something when it wants to trust something. Being invited to trust the unfathomable not knowing brings a lot of suspicion. No, I'm not feeling safe here, says mine. I'm not feeling safe here. So the grace is that we have been given everything that is needed to surrender and to know this truth. We are a fully compact set of tools, right? Nothing has been left out. We are absolutely a full kit for wisdom to be known. What we have in our toolkit is the felt sense of presence, the felt sense of our own existence. We have been given the grace of the felt sense of being here, plain and simple. No bells and whistles, no names, no stories, nothing at all, but a simple felt sense. Here I am here. How do I know I am here? Because I am here, this, right? There's a simplicity. I don't know I'm here because I'm looking in the mirror. I don't know I'm here because I'm feeling the presence of this body and I'm feeling, yes, I'm solid, yes, I'm strong. No, it's more subtle. How do I know I am here? Where do I go to feel the presence of being here? This is the grace of knowing the beingness of your own being. So what is this I? What is this being? It has no solid substance. It is not the body. Curiously, even though it has no substance, and follow along as the pointings come and check in your own experience, because don't trust me, trust only your direct experience. But some pointings are coming, and as the pointings come, check in your direct experience if what is being spoken is true in your experience. And if it is, little mini happy dance. If it's not, let it go. Only this moment matters. We're not collecting, we're not writing a list, we're not ticking boxes. We're confirming in the heart, we're confirming in the nowness of being. Can only confirm in the nowness of being because you are only ever here now. Right. So, curiously, this felt sense of being has no substance. It's not the body, and yet it is permanent. It never changes. Check. The felt sense of being. Could it go anywhere? Can you have some sense of feeling how it's always here and always the same? Like a permanence, a solidity, but not a solidity in its composition, right? A solidity in its eternal, timeless presence. Always here, always now, always just like this. Can you notice that it has no content? It's not a moving, changing experience. It's just like this. Just the feeling of being here, being now, being this, being all. Can you feel that the felt sense of being here, it's not necessarily got a size to it. Just start to notice, how big is this felt sense? Is it in the body? Outside of the body? Where is it? Could say that it's everywhere. Could say it's nowhere. Could say it's just here. Could say it just is. Just this. Just to notice in this moment, this felt sense is not attached to anything. This felt sense of being, it wants nothing. It's got no story. Check. It's got no name. Check. It's just here. And you know the gorgeous thing? That your being is my being. Your existence is my existence. Your existence is existence itself. As we feel into this felt sense of existence, we are meeting in the simplicity of existence. The same, exactly the same. No difference. Your being, same as my being. Everyone's being, the very same one being that just is. How amazing. In this moment, our toolkit offers us the possibility to discover our interconnectedness with all beings. So in this felt sense of existence, we feel the undivided, unseparated wholeness right here in this simple felt sense of being. The undivided interconnectedness, unseparated wholeness of being. Cannot understand this with the mind, so just come to the felt sense. As the words come, the likelihood is the mind will start to try to make sense. As soon as the mind starts to make sense, you're looking in the limited context. You've gone upstairs in the elevator and you're looking within the box, right? You're digging around in the box to try to find something within the limited context that confirms your unlimited nature. impossible mission, right? Can only confirm your infinite nature in your infinite nature. So don't look up there, look out here, look in this, look in existence, look in this felt sense, right? So what happens is, because our tempo can be a little busy, the running of the mind, the tempo can be a little busy. So when our tempo is generally a little busy, when we come to existence, we touch in, but we go back to busy. Stillness, busy, stillness, busy, stillness, busy, right? We have to stay in the stillness. Stillness, busy. Stillness, busy, stillness, stillness, busy, stillness. Felt sense of being, presence, busy, presence, stillness. Keep coming back to the stillness. Keep coming back to the felt sense of your existence. Keep coming back to now. Here now, here now, here now. Never changes, wants nothing, no desires, very simple. Here now, here now, here now. This is who you have always been. What do we mean by this? This is your eternal, timeless essence nature. It is the essence nature that is the essence nature, the unconditioned nature of all beings. And it is alive. It is alive with presence. As you come to feel the presence, can feel the stillness of the presence. And you start to feel that the stillness of the presence, your own presence, is alive. And it's the aliveness, the subtle aliveness in the presence that pulls you, the enlivened, subtle presence pulls you deeper into stillness, 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 stillness. Yes, okay, busy. Ah, stillness, stillness. And the aliveness, the enlivened aliveness of life in the presence, your own presence, the aliveness of existence, just simply existing. It's like a magnetic force. It pulls you into yourself. It pulls you into something so true that you can only confirm in your direct experience, can only confirm in the here-nowness. So you're not understanding with the mind. You're not believing anyone. You're meeting all beings in the nowness of being. We're meeting in the essence nature. So great glory, we've used our toolkit. We've used what we've always had here all along to just simply be here. Just for fun. Let's find out what else we've got in the toolkit. We've got a longing in the heart. What is that longing for? It thinks for so much of its life that it wants this and that and that. Oh, and that. And oh, I'm still disappointed even though I've got all of these things. So I'd like that and that and that. And I'd like to have this experience and that experience. Oh, I'm still disappointed. So now I would like to try this. And now I'm going to give up all of that and I'm going to move and I'm going to give up the relationship, and I want that. I want that relationship. I want that job. I want that house, that car, and I'm going to be happy. Oh, I'm still disappointed. I still feel alone. What am I longing for? What am I longing for? Ah, I think I'll try that. I'll go on a retreat. I'll get lots of books, right? Ah, still disappointed, still disappointed. You've got a big collection of malas. You've got statues that you've had sent back from India. You've got a bookshelf full of books about spirituality and self-improvement. You've been meditating for years, standing on your head, right? All of it. Still feeling a little disappointed. Still looking, right? We're looking in the world of things. The world of things has things that are clues. The world of things has things that can bring us into the felt sense of our essence nature. But what are we really longing for? What is truly longed for? And where do we find fulfillment? Instead of trying to satiate our longing with more things, we discover that our longing is part of the divine toolkit. Here it is, right inside, a pull in the heart. Ooh, a pull in the heart so strong for something that I've been trying for years to find out what it is that will bring satiation, will bring satisfaction. Just to feel the longing without letting it go in any direction, to feel the longing, just to be here in the longing that cannot be satisfied in the world of things is grace. The disappointment that comes because our longing is not satisfied in the world of things is grace. Because it keeps us coming back to the longing. And at some point, we have explored enough avenues. And somewhere along the way, we have bumped into the possibility of meeting the being. And these truths of the heart start to dance together. And as they start to dance together, there's an opening that happens. As we come to the being is a witnessing awareness. The simple still being, it's alive and it's aware. Its aliveness is an awareness that is without any effort, simply aware of what is moving and changing. Being aware of the moving and changing allows us to see, let's say, the difference between the moving, changing dance of life and to feel the changeless. When we come to the felt sense of our longing, the longing, it's pulling us. Can we sit with the longing without trying to feed it with worldly things? Can we sit with the longing and just be open? Let the longing pull us into the heart. Let the longing pull us into presence, right? The longing pulls us when we do not attend to it with things. It's a fire inside us. And all it will be satiated and fed by, nourished by, is its own attention. So when we meet the longing with presence, the nowness of presence, the longing starts to feel nourished. It starts to feel nourished in the attention of presence. In a way, the pull can get stronger and stronger here, can feel very, very alive, can start to feel like a devotion, can start to feel like, Oh, I want to surrender everything into this fire that's inside me. I want to throw everything into the fire, burn it all, take it all, right? Because this is so compelling to feel the longing actually nourished. It's nourished with a depth of intimacy that all beings long for, but look for in the worldly. It's nourished with a depth of fulfillment and satiated yumminess that we look for in the world, but we can only find in our own presence. We start to feel something which is love, unconditioned love. We start to feel love in the aliveness, because love is quite simply the meeting of ourself in wholeness without separation. We could say it is the meeting of pure being, where all beings are one, where there is no separation. There is love without condition, right? And this is the love that never leaves. This love can be trusted because it is the love that you are. It's not a transient, temporary love affair. It's a deep and profound love affair with yourself. It is the only love affair, the only communion that can be trusted. And it is what carries us into the deep remembering of union with our essence nature on every level. This is where the richness is. This is where fulfillment is. This is where nourishment is. This is where peace that is undisturbable is. But it cannot be known with the mind. And so, as these words come, it is always to check in your direct experience. And some of the pointings you will find to be true and alive, and some of them might not be ready yet, or some of them might not just be alive in this moment, right? Essentially, what is being pointed to is the unchanging, changeless presence of being that is the only trustworthy, constant, that is life itself, alive and present to its own presence. The simplicity of being that is still and silent and whole in its own beingness. So as these words come, just to feel the resonance of truth, right? Where you feel the aliveness of truth, it's not because you are believing the words, it's because you are resonating, attuning, aligning with your own recognition, and it's beyond understanding. It is the unfathomable, immeasurable, unexplainable, undefinable truth. Let us say even these words are a fraction away from it, even though they are arising out of it. They arise out of it to pick up some passengers and carry the passengers into the remembering. What are the passengers? The passengers are flows of consciousness. They're not people. They're flows of consciousness. They're unique dancing flows of consciousness. And the words come forward as a resonance. And they bring an aliveness in the field. And where you receive that aliveness in the field, the subtlety of that aliveness as your own presence of being, you jump on board and you fall into the stillness. Successful mission. And we start again. Catching catching the butterflies that are just ready to fly in the net, bringing them, right, into the silence, into the stillness. Right? It doesn't matter what the sound is. Right? The breath of life comes, it goes out, it collects, and it collapses back into the infinite stillness. The breath of life opens, it collects, and it brings everything into the depths of being, right? It's just about the resonance. It's not about the words. The words are a bone to chew on for the mind. So the mind chews on the bone. It's trying to make sense. But magically, while the bone is chewed upon, you fall into the bones of clarity of your own essence nature. It's not the mind getting it. The mind chewing stops the mind chewing on other thoughts and lets it chew on thoughts of reality, thoughts of essence nature, right? It's inviting the mind to join the dance home, the dance into the essence nature, because the mind too is just a flow of consciousness, and the words come and they collect that flow and they invite it to settle. Recognize this, it says, recognize this truth beyond understanding. Recognize this truth where there is no meaning. Recognize in your own direct experience of what truth actually is not an understanding, not a belief or a concept. What truth actually is this moment, wildly alive with its own presence. That what truth actually is your own being, here, now. What truth actually is your very own self, without thoughts and engaging in concepts and ideas. What yourself really is this wholeness of this moment where there is no story, where the mind settles all by itself into a certain remembering of truth in the resonance. It does not matter if there are thought waves dancing, right? There will always be thought waves dancing. If you go out fishing, you'll catch some, right? Just be the open presence in which it's all happening. Be the awareness that sees the thought waves, but don't take ownership and make them yours, right? They're flows of consciousness. You do not have to take them in, make them tea, and engage with them and get distracted in their presence. Just see them, just like clouds in the sky. So life itself is without condition. Life itself is always moving and changing. But your essential nature, the essential nature, is still and present. Let's say the essential nature is the aliveness of life. And as it dances on the surface, it's always moving and changing. We have to know our essential, still, silent nature to be able to understand what this world really is. We have to know our essential still nature as the being to understand in the deep knowing presence that is wisdom, that is more profound and subtle than the understanding of the mind. It's a field of intelligence, and only in this field of intelligence that is true wisdom do we come to recognize what this whole dance of life is from a true open perspective, where we are empty of wants and desires and personal will. The field of intelligence tells us that this dance of life is always changing. And in our deep knowing, we recognize, oh, life is always changing. The play is always changing. And the true nature does not resist that change. The true nature does not have wants and desires. And therefore, the true nature does not have frustration and suffering. Right? Here there is trust, but trust is the essence nature. Trust is the essence nature of who you are. You are only ever trusting yourself. You are only ever trusting the being that is here now. And there's so much power when you come to pull all of your power back in from the external and fall into trusting only the still, silent presence of being, the impersonal self. There's so much power here. The power here is that you never leave yourself and that you can watch the play and the dance. You can see resistance happening. You can see the subconscious playing, the conditioning. You can recognize that when resistance comes, there's something trying to surface, right? You can see the thoughts that are playing from the subconscious that are kind of programmed. And when you are aware of them, you have the ability to reprogram those thoughts, right? You have the ability to reprogram those thoughts, those conditioned thought complexes, by being aware of them, shining the light upon them, seeing the conditioning, the programming, meeting the feelings that are associated. And as this process happens, there's a reprogramming, a seeing through the conditioned reflex play of the subconscious that can keep us perpetually being pulled into the play of separation, even though we know this gorgeousness of being, right? True power here now, true trust here now, satiated lot of longing, the wholeness of longing, the fulfillment of longing here now, right? So part of our toolkit is our frustration. We're equipped with the ability to be frustrated, to be resistant. It's a clue, it's an indicator that somehow we are in a small perspective. And the indicator is a signal, an opportunity to open to the bigger perspective. Small perspective, me, contraction, a feeling of powerlessness, hopelessness, giving power away, looking for fulfillment in things, believing that the world will make us happy, believing that more experiences will make us happy, believing that love is outside of ourselves. And here we behave in ways that separation perpetuates, where we become more selfish, we're taking care of the me, We're not loving and kind and caring because we're in a protection. We're thinking only of me, my wants, my desires, right? Big picture, openness, interconnectedness, inclusiveness, wholeness, balance, a feeling of true power from resting in the being. It doesn't bring a feeling of hope and anything that the mind would imagine, but it brings a feeling of openness and joy, inspiration, aliveness. And this inspiration comes because you're alive as all of life. You're open to the infinite field of possibilities. You have a blank canvas in any moment. And you have the ability to not be pulled into the small dance. You have this empowered ability to see as awareness the tight, small, contracted perspective and open to something bigger. And here, kindness, patience, caring. Here, knowing the love that you are. Here, that the resonance of what you are is like a reverberation. You're like a walking bag of reverberating gorgeousness that's supporting the environment, processing the environment, we could even say. You're touching everything with light. You're throwing sprinkles wherever you go, right? You're scattering sprinkles of light wherever you go because you're open and you're in your essence nature. You're seeing from the big perspective. You're affecting, uplifting the whole of humanity in service the more you are resting here, right? So there's this gorgeousness. You feel gorgeous. You feel alive. You feel happy. You feel full and rich. And it's here now, right? So in some ways, mind could say, oh, well, that's okay for you because you're feeling it right now. Look at you. You're all happy and joyful. And I'm feeling all contracted and frustrated. But these words come not to say, look at what's possible. It's to say, this is who you are in truth. And you have the possibility in this moment to resonate at this frequency. But it takes courage, it takes humility, and it takes a vigilance that is here in the being to keep coming back to the now, to the now, to the now, to feel your longing and to fall into what you are truly longing for and not be fooled by temporary solutions, to not be numbed by the years of pain and suffering, right? It's a balancing act. It's a dance. It's not easy. It takes everything. It takes more than you imagine that you've got, but you have it because you have a magic tank that your mind doesn't know about, where there's always more resilience, there's always more resolve, there's always more ability, there's always more at the bottom of the barrel where you think you've reached the basement of basements and that Kali Ma has you on your knees and your nose is scraped, your forehead is scraped, and you feel like you've got nothing left to give, that the life has been punched out of you. What happens in the glory of surrender is that the sun still rises the next morning and you get up again and you say, oh my God, I'm still alive. I can't even believe it that I'm still here and here's another goddamn day, right? Yes, what feels like another goddamn day to the mind is another glorious day in paradise of the human experience. Another day to face yourself, another day to open and open and open and surrender and surrender and surrender and recognize that this life, oh my God, this life is only about surrender. That this life is a perpetual surrender. That this life is not about the dreams of me. It's not about what the me wants. It's not about creating more experiences or a happy life for me. It's not about accumulating things. It's not about being a good person. It's not about having a personality that is the personality that the me wants in the world. It's to realize that your persona on a certain way is going to keep changing. It's a process. It's an ever refining process, right? Who you are as a personality is an ever refining process as your subconscious that is ruling the show is slowly deconditioned and reprogrammed to be a dance of love and clarity and purity and openness in the remembering of your true nature, right? So if you are resting in this place that wants to be a person that's like this and to live a life that's like this, what will happen is you will constantly bump into yourself and be asked to surrender. You will be asked to surrender through illness, through body problems and impairments. You will be asked to surrender because relationships don't go the way you want. You'll be asked to surrender because people will be lost in the life and you will have to meet the impermanence of life, right? Things change. Life changes. Of that we can be sure. We could even say that we can trust that life changes. If we resist life changing, we will be constantly disappointed. Life changing brings us to meet this fight or flight place within our nervous system. Right? We don't want to live here. We don't want to live constantly shocked. Another change. Another, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, right? We're living in anxiety. We're living in stress. But we're living then in a kind of powerlessness, right? This feels really hard for the mind to comprehend because that powerlessness that plays as anxiety and depression and stress, it's so challenging. It's so challenging. And love is so compassionate for that challenge. But love is saying, there is a way that you are kitted out with. You are given everything, right? Sometimes we need to be supported in the world, held, cushioned by the support of certain kinds of, let's say, counseling or therapy. We need to be cushioned and held for our nervous system to settle enough. But the greatest cushioning is sadhana, is meditation, are practices that are repetitive, that bring our nervous systems to a settling enough that we come to stillness, that we come to meet true kindness, that we come to meet true compassion. We come to meet the one that is ever present. And we come to glimpse, taste, find that this one is inside our own heart. Crazy old world. Yes, crazy old world. And it stays a crazy old world. But we are here not to play out the dance of crazy old world. We're here to see that it's a crazy old world, to see the moving, changing. The more that we fall into the presence of being, the more that we fall into what can be trusted, what is clear and true, the more that we gather like this with beings and meet in the being, we are supported, we are uplifted, we are coming in again and again and again. And let's say in the play of time, we're coming regularly into a field of upliftment. We're being held in a field of joy, in a field that has the capacity to shift not only what is happening here in this gathering, but all of humanity. And we are that field, right? It's not someone. It's a field that constantly is self-generating. It's constantly giving itself nourishment. It's constantly, by speaking this truth, it's constantly generating a resonance of upliftment for humanity and upliftment for all beings. And wherever you receive it, wherever you recognize it, or whether you're just plugging in and being part of that upliftment, or whether both is going on, it doesn't matter, right? Let's say by being here, you're plugging in and you're being part of it. But if you're in a moment where you feel downtrodden, this uplifts you. Even if your mind is saying, oh my God, your happiness makes me want to puke, right? Even if your mind feels really bothered, it's still uplifting you because it's unconditional and it's a resonant frequency. It is the field of divine light. It is the field of divine wholeness that is perpetually, constantly generating, right? So the invitation here is to join in being the generating field of light, of love, of joy, of compassion, right? You can be miserable, but don't stay miserable. If you want to be the change for humanity, for yourself, if you want to dig yourself out of the hole of your human condition, right? And let's be honest, it takes a lot of digging. It's harder than trying to file your way out of prison bars, right? Year after year. In some ways, it's harder than that. And yet at the same time, it bears fruit in a different way because it brings you to the knowing that even if your prison bars feel like they're there, there's peace right now in this moment, in the heart of being, right? But it takes everything. It takes a different kind of courage, right? The courage that it takes to file your prison bars year after year after year, right? You still got a really small window to squeeze out of. But this, it brings you to the freedom that is the heart, the peace that is the heart of knowing yourself right now. And then in this now, you live this peace and you discard everything that feels like a prison. You discard the whole notion of a prison, right? Because you're here and what you're releasing and how you're unfolding it is a permanent solution. It's resolution. It's salvation, right? It is the voice of truth inside you. It is the voice, oh still small voice of calm, oh still small voice of calm. Have been hearing this profound hymn that used to play through this life and be sung as a child. Been hearing it playing like a celestial song, a divine poem. For those that are curious, it starts, O Lord and Father of mankind, and it ends, O still small voice of calm. You have the still voice of calm, of peace inside you. This hymn says, forgive our foolish ways, right? Reclothe us in our rightful mind. In purer lives, thy service find, in deeper reverence, praise, right? It's so profound. Look it up. So profound, right? Never saw it every morning singing that song at school. But somehow that truth, the upliftment, it was there. So profound, right? Inside you, you have that still, small voice of calm. The being, the presence, the beauty, the reverence, the praise. You have it inside you, in the toolkit, the longing, It's right here. We recognize that the true nature is not belonging to someone. The true nature is the great revealing of the true nature of reality. It is the true nature of all beings, of all things, even the true nature of all objects. It is the true nature of reality. This is what is being pointed to, and this is a field of constant upliftment, a constant invitation to hear the small voice of calm, to meet the undisturbable peace in the heart, to come to the reverence, the longing, the devotion of turning to the unknowable mystery, the silence of eternity, right? This hymn says, where Jesus knelt to share with thee the silence of eternity. How profound! The silence of eternity. We are given clues through the whole life. This truth has been here. You have been your constant companion through your whole life, in the silence, in the stillness, in the truth of the heart that knows. And this unfolding that we speak of here, it is a return to wholeness. You're not becoming something that you are not already. It is a return, a recognition, right? A refiring up. It's like, that's a lighter, by the way, right? We're sparking it. We're sparking. We're sparking. Sparking, sparking, sparking. Sparking the remembering. Sparking, right? That's what the resonance of the transmission does. Spark, 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 right? We're igniting that spark, turning it into a blazing fire inside. Remember, 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 right? This, pop the bubble, pop the bubble, stick a big holy pin in the illusion. Doesn't matter if you understand. It doesn't matter what's happening in your mind. Your mind is irrelevant, utterly irrelevant. This is about consciousness, remembering its own conscious awareness, consciousness itself, consciously awakening, being stirred, remembering, right? Bang, pop, gone, gone illusion, gone small story of personhood. And as the illusion, the bubble bursts, the seeing of the big perspective, it's all here. It's all a constant invitation to remember. Who cares what nonsense the mind is mulling over or chewing on, right? Mother says, stop with your vain boastings and idle prattlings and turn to the Sat Chit Ananda that is the true nature, right? It is the Akhand Sat Chit Ananda, the undivided truth of existence, the consciousness dancing and blissful in a knowing of itself, right? Truth of existence, right? The being, okay, we're going to say it in the language that we spoke of at the beginning, the silence of being, the fullness of the longing, right? The flow, the aliveness of the longing, and the bliss of this dance, right? Existence, truth, existence, the sat, the sat, the truth of existence, the truth of your being, here now, this. Nothing else but this, right? The chit, the aliveness of consciousness, consciously knowing itself, flowing, life flowing, but the alive essence of that life flowing, flowing, flowing. The intelligence, the creative intelligence, the wisdom flowing, it's all the same, just different language, so that every being here hears, receives the grace of the Sat, Chit, and the Ananda. The Anand is the bliss, the blissful peace of being in the divine union. We could say the Shiva, the Shakti, the union, bliss, the eternal wholeness, the Akhand, Sat, Chit, Ananda, the undivided, never separated, never fragmented, right? Never ever touched, tainted wholeness of the Sat, Chit, and the Ananda, that the Anand, that is the bliss of being, the essence nature, the rich, delicious nectar, the taste of your own being, the taste of your own blissful emptiness, the taste of your own wholeness, right? Turn to the Sat, the Chit, and receive the Anand that comes when you recognize the Akhand. It is also the Purna, right? It's the essential essence nature, the integral whole of the undivided, right? It is holy healing. It is the trustworthy, constant, glorious glory of your true self. And here you are all power. You are pure power. You're not someone that is empowered. You are the power of being. Resolute in the divine union. Shiva Shakti, dancing, wholeness. Right? Here now. Feel where you know this. Where there's a knowing, this is the resonance of truth. Where we are one, and these words are your words. This song is the song of your heart. This flow of life is the flow of creative intelligence, of wisdom that is your wisdom, your knowledge. This is the oneness of being, the wholeness that is immaculate, innocent, pure, and includes everything, unquestionably. The hymn says, breathe through the heat of our desires, thy coolness and thy balm. Let sense be dumb, let flesh retire. Breathe through the earthquake, wind and fire. O still small voice of calm. O still small voice of calm. Pure truth. You know this truth in the heart of knowing because you are it right now. Nothing needs to happen, nothing to achieve, nothing to become, just to be here and feel where you feel the aliveness. And in this moment, you are free. You are freedom. You are freedom itself. You are the glory, the power and the glory. Confess the beauty. Confess the peace. Confess the truth of who you are.